So, hello guys, everyone who are listening to the Behind the Crypto podcast. Today we have Tristan Roozendaal as our guest, and we are going to talk about the huge and the interesting crypto topics as well. Hello, Tristan, how's it going?
Hi, Vlad. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
My pleasure.
I'm back in the Netherlands for the first time since 10 years, and it is really cold in here.
Oh, yeah, I know. So, could you please, before our questionnaire starts, tell us a bit about your backstory and how did you get in this rabbit hole, which name is crypto?
All right. So 10 years ago, I moved to Hong Kong. I used to be an English teacher for primary schools, secondary schools, but also working with special needs. And I got introduced to Dogecoin mining in 2014. We were sitting at one of my friend's place. You know the classic story. You know, when you're sitting at your friend's place and you're seeing a mining rig, and then you're like, okay, what's going on here? Well, what are you doing? And there was the first interaction with blockchain, and it really didn't click yet at the moment. I've always been an entrepreneur, but for me as an entrepreneur, it didn't click yet. Moving forward to 2016, end of 2016, where Ethereum came up, and with work on the Ethereum network, it was very interesting. And from that point, I saw a business opportunity. So I gathered with some friends some capital, and we built our first 3 mining rigs hashing on Ethereum. And we quickly figured out that sitting in a home, in a small bedroom, working office, it was getting way too hot. It was like boiling hot in the summer. So we had to shut down the rigs. And I was like, okay, so what's next? Are we going to keep reinvesting in Ethereum mining, or that's it? Are we going to sell the machines? So me and my friends, we gathered some more funding. We got a small little warehouse in Hong Kong with like around 20 to 25 mining rigs, and it was going great. Unfortunately, me and my friend, we split up a little bit. He wanted to do certain things, and I wanted to continue with mining, so we split up. And when I start something, I never give up. So I found a new investor from China. This is my current business partner for Centralex as well. And he said, I introduced him blockchain mining, Bitcoin mining, and Ethereum mining. He said, I want this too. I said, well, let's make it happen. So how many machines do you want to build? 100. And I said, oh. I said, can we slow down a little bit? This is something I've never done before. Right? And it was something like, I've never done this before, and it was massive. It's like, okay, so why don't we just do it in phases? Let me try to find a warehouse first with enough power capacity and also enough space to house our mining machines. And it took some time, a few weeks, and I finally found a space. And we built our first 30 machines on Ethereum, and it was actually really good. It was a super nice facility. And we quickly expanded from 30 machines to 60, from 60 to 120, and eventually we were mining with 350 mining machines on Ethereum during a bear market.
What a business!
And what a business, right? And everything was working super good. And during the bear market, we were still profitable. And in 2018, it was actually time for us to shut down the farm because the machines were already like 2.5 to 3 years old. And it was time to move on to the next big thing. It's called Centralex.
Fascinating. I love the story. And what I hear now that you have is the soul of a wild fighter inside you, because you never fucking give up.
Yeah, well, Bitcoin is Bitcoin, blockchain is blockchain, and I see it as an evolution of currency. And like I said earlier, once I start something, I go in with my fullest heart, 100%, and I will never give up.
Perfect. Love this one. Could you please tell us more about Centralex and what actually you are doing here?
Sure. So in 2018, end of 2018, when we shut down the farm and we sold the farm also, it was time for us to continue in the blockchain industry. And I'm not a professional trader from origin. I'm still not a professional trader. I'm just an entrepreneur, and I see blockchain as the future. But going to Binance. So we went to Binance as an example. I never traded before in my whole life. Yeah, maybe a few tokens left and right, but it was, a little bit different. Back in the day, I sold my first 2 ETH way below market price, and I got unbelievable wrecked. And it's like, okay, good job, Tristan. And I went to Coinbase, and it was easy to trade there, easy to swapping feature, but the fees were unbelievably expensive. And this is exactly where the idea of Centralex started, to build a professional trading platform, spot market, but also with the simplicity of use, just like Coinbase has, with lower trading fees. So clean, simple, easy to understand UI, both for professionals and beginner traders. And this is the idea of where Centralex started. Then we registered our company in December 13, 2018. We started writing our business plans, architecture, together with me and my friend, Jan van Melle. He's a really good, nice guy. And we were working for this around 6 to 9 months, doing research, etc. And then COVID hit very hard in the world. So everything stopped from that point. And everybody was like, okay, what's next? How are we going to continue with Centralex, or we're just going to let it be? Then again, like in my previous explanation, I never give up. So I convinced my business partners to continue with Centralex. We found an Indian team to build our exchange solution. Unfortunately, 1.5 years later, spent a lot of money into our exchange, building the exchange. It didn't work. So we hired our own in-house developers. Right now we're sitting at 22 people staff. And we have a fully functional spot exchange with deep liquidity from multiple sources and market making from multiple sources with a lower trading fees. But having only an exchange in anno 2022 is not enough. You need to find yourself your unique selling point. Both of my business partners, they're from China, from the traditional market, from the traditional finance, my apologies. And we came across an opportunity from an Australian neobank, is a new bank in Australia, to integrate their full-fledged banking system straight into our Centralex ecosystem. That means that you, as a Centralex customer, will have access to a multi-currency bank account straight through a centralized platform. That was the initial idea. The idea is still there. However, due to government issues and also with COVID, those things are being on the back burner right now. It's still in the pipeline, but a little bit slower than before. And we still need to find a new USP, a unique selling point. And it's difficult to find something really special and really rare. We were looking at the current industry in DeFi. DeFi is just difficult to use, way too difficult to use. For ourselves, it's easy right now. We know how it works, browser extensions or
But 1 year ago, it was pretty difficult to use and get onboarded on some of these platforms.
It still is. It still is. Because if I ask 95% in the world population right now, can you install a browser extension? Do you know and how to store your seed phrases and private keys? They're looking at me like, what are you talking about? And this is reality. There are fantastic protocols already on the internet. I love Web3. It is really an evolution of currency. But how are we going to onboard the next billion to Web3? And that something like that got stuck in our mind as well. How to onboard the next billion to Web3? So we took away. So we created a platform. It's called Centralex DeFi. Before it was called Costa DeFi. We renamed it to CDeFi right now to give it an easier name and also better to understand. CDeFi, DeFi, so CDeFi. And to take away that difficult part of the private keys and the seed phrases. Now you're wondering, yeah, but my keys, my crypto. Yeah, so I also believe in this philosophy, and I still do, and our whole team does, and so do other hundreds of thousands of people believe in my keys, my crypto philosophy. But it doesn't really help to onboard the next wave to Web3. So what we've done, We sat down with our team. We came up with a great solution. We partnered up with Fireblocks. So Fireblocks is our institutional grade wallet provider.
Wow.
So when it comes to security, it is fantastic. It's a really good team. They are hands-on. I got a question in the middle of the night. They are answering it straight up, right?
Yeah.
If there's something down or something doesn't work, they answer our question immediately. We were also one of the first APAC customers on Fireblocks, and we will always stay with Fireblocks. We are very loyal towards our partners and also towards our customers. And it also gave us an opportunity. So taking a few steps back, where we know that DeFi is difficult to use, but everybody is already familiarized with single Web2 login interface, username, password, and 2FA. We all know this. My mom knows it, my uncle knows it, and I think 80% or 90% of the world population knows exactly how to make a user account and log in with a user account. So our system is built on a Web2 interface, but with Web3 technology on the backend.
Mm-hmm.
So that basically means that customers are creating an account at Centralex. Then they are required to do the mandatory KYC and AML. We believe in regulations, also in licensing. We at Centralex are also fully licensed in Estonia. We are licensed in Australia, America, Canada, but also in Hong Kong with traditional financial licenses. So for us, licensing is very important. This helps to mature the market, but also to bring back trust or regain trust in the industry, right? And especially what happened already in the last few months during this bear market with Luna and many more companies who fell over.
It's a great disaster.
It was a disaster. It's still a disaster, and we're still bleeding because of this. But we will survive. We will survive, and we will get better and get stronger out of the whole situation. So during our development of our CDeFi platform, we did our staking platform first. So we integrated a centralized staking platform, still on chain. So every transaction is being done on chain. The customer is still in control over their own funds. We as an organization will never touch the customer's assets. Right? So your vault, your funds, but no keys and no private keys. So we are taking care of the difficult part. So at this stage, we already integrated 1inch. So 1inch is fully functional on the Centralex ecosystem. Uniswap is already working fully functional. People can start deposits. People can buy using the credit cards for on-ramping. And they can also very soon can start trading NFTs as well.
Wow, fascinating. Tristan, so what I'm hearing now that Centralex is kind of provider and opening the gap between the end user and many these Web3 and DeFi systems that turning around that absolutely don't understandable for each other person and block the mass adoption, the DeFi mass adoption. And you are building like a bridge between them to make the processes easier, and that's it.
Yeah, correct. And it's for us, it's all about end consumer protection. So there are too many scams in the industry as we speak. Too many rug pulls. People was a reporter recently. He did it just for the giggles. He opened a website. He started a new project in a matter of 7 days, and he raised almost $100,000 just like that, and he rug pulled the whole platform. Right? It is that easy to scam people right now in the current market. So everybody is super cautious, and we should be super cautious. But how can you prevent yourself from being scammed or being rugged? Educate yourself. Education is key, right? It's the same for myself. I've never knew anything about blockchain prior to 2014, but I did educate myself, and so did you, Vlad. Right? Education is the key to success, and that's the key.
Okay, educate us a little bit. Why DeFi is so rapidly growing area in this Web3 world?
Oh, that's a very good question, Vlad. Let's take a few steps back, right? So I see Web3 as an evolution of currency. So around 4,000 years ago, there was a bantering system. So a bantering system means that You had something I wanted and wanted to have, and also vice versa. Right? So it was a fair trade. So I had a sheep. You were a very good cook, so we killed my sheep, and we prepared together. You prepared my food, and together we ate it. However, this venturing system wasn't really fair, right? So in this case, I needed to have a sheep to trade it up with another sheep. That was 4,000 years ago. But moving forward to around 600 before the Common Era, the Chinese are always very smart when it comes to this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. They created metal coins, and metal coins were heavy, but also difficult to exchange at the time. And can you imagine yourself walking with a big bag full of metal coins? No, right? So the Chinese came with the invention, paper money, right? The way how we can see it right now, even 1800. Exactly, so even 1800 years after the first paper money being produced by China, even Marco Polo finally started using it. That's 1800 years after the first production of paper money. Mm-hmm. So the Chinese, they were actually the bootleggers when it comes to finance. And Chinese people are already well known for being unbelievable smart when it comes to math and also with financials. However, I am not. So for me, it's like 1 + 1 = 5. And that's why I also have Chinese business partners who do understand all the numbers. For me, I'm just an entrepreneur, and I see it as an evolution of finance and an enhancement of finance. So the beautiful thing right now, moving forward to the current state, banks are being too secretive about everything what's happening on their backend. With financials, governments attached to this. Satoshi Nakamoto created the first transaction on using Bitcoin, mm-hmm. and it was fantastic. Open ledger, not easy to use, but immutable. So once your transaction is being broadcasted, you cannot stop the transaction anymore. Once it's there, and you can see the transaction on the blockchain, which I see it as an evolution of currency, which I do love a lot.
I love the way you explain this strong and hard stuff in the simple words that are absolutely understandable for everybody who are listening to our podcast. And I know that DeFi right now have a lot of problems. And could you please explain us what problems DeFi are solving right now, and what problems should be solved in the future, in the nearest future, but it's not ready yet. I mean, the whole DeFi system and the Web3 world isn't in that stage to solve these big problems.
Very good question. And this question can be seen interpreted in many ways. For me personally, Web3 is difficult to use. And I mentioned this earlier also. In the current state, we are unable to onboard the next wave.
Agree, 100%.
It could be done, but then it should be done by educational parts. The people have to go back to schools or online platforms, spend a lot of money, thousands of dollars to educate themselves, or spend a trillion hours on the internet, many of years of research, and before they finally really have a full grasp of what blockchain and Web3 actually does. To speed up that process, it needs to get simplified. Web2 interface. This is the way how we envision how we can onboard the next wave to Web3 by simplifying things, by protecting our customers, by complying with governments, so with regulators. We do believe in, like I said earlier, also in regulations. So for us, KYC, AML, KYT, transaction monitoring and transaction restrictions are unbelievable important. For as an example, right now in the current Web3 industry, I finally figured out how to use a Web3 wallet, self-hosted wallet. Mm-hmm. Then I can go to a dark web website. I am a drug lord, or I am do some illegal activities on the internet. Then my funds, my so-called earned money from my illegal activities, are going to an exchange, to a decentralized exchange. We call this money washing, money laundering. So then I can sell off my ETH for USDT, and then my USDT can go back to another exchange, and I can off-ramp it.
Yeah.
Right. So there is no benefit for the world. People paying taxes for a reason. This is a very sensitive topic, I know, for a lot of people. So already my apologies for this. Paying taxes is a very sensitive topic, but we do need to pay taxes, right? Such as who is going to maintain our roads, who is going to keep the lights on at night, who's going to pay for police force or the hospitals or fire departments, etc. So taxes are there for a reason. And it's the same for regulations. We've learned from the current banking industry, the regulations are going to be mandatory. So when you go to a normal bank, and I won't call any banks here, but if you go to a regular bank at the corner of your street and you want to open an account, what's the first thing they're going to ask you? Your passport or your ID, and also a proof of residency. For a specific reason, they want to know who you are, and they want to know exactly what you're doing with your financials. And this is why we believe as an organization that the right requirements are mandatory for us to mature the whole Web3 industry. This is how we are seeing it. This is how we are envisioning it.
Makes sense, and we have to fight for the brightest future. I think
absolutely
most guys who are listening to our podcast, like didn't actually come to the Web3 era or something like that, they are thinking about and sitting down and thinking about how is it hard to understand all the science of Web3, how it is a lot of IT stuff, a lot of codes, programming machine or something like that. And I have a question. From your perspective, is that the necessary to have an IT or probably at least financial education or specialization to create techno Web3 DeFi project as well? You can tell us your story from your education stuff and the general overview about this question.
Oh, that's a very, very long question, but also a very personal question.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was 16 years old. I finished my high school. From that point, I went back straight to work. I just wanted to earn my own money to buy my own stuff, like shoes and clothing, my own food, etc. So yeah, I've never finished my higher education. It doesn't mean I am undereducated. I'm far from undereducated. Everybody in the world got their own qualities. It's just a matter of where are your qualities and how to find your qualities and your skills.
Yeah.
I do have some prior computer knowledge. So I'm Dutch. Back in the 80s, we were one of the first families in the Netherlands who had a computer at home. That was already my interest. So we had a Compaq. I forgot how slow it actually was, but back in the day it was like blazing fast. And we opened up the case, and then we had like a pencil, and we put a few lines over the memory, and we were overclocking already like the old school way. Mm-hmm. It was super cool. And moving forward, technology, everybody has a smartphone, so everybody has already some prior knowledge about technology, but need to know about how to do programming or coding or knowing a huge priority of financial instruments. No, there is no need for that. It is all about the people around you, right? So I am really bad in math. Like example, 1 + 1 = 5, right? Right. This is a silly joke in the Netherlands, though. But my business partner, he's a DBA, so a doctor in business administration, and he's unbelievable smart in finance. Where my CTO, I do work with Russians. We do work with people from Ukraine. We do work with people from all around the world. We put all the politics to the side and we focus on the bigger picture and at the center.
Yeah,
right? That's the key, right? But my whole team, they have their own qualities and their own specialities. What I can do, my CTO cannot do, and what my CTO is doing, I cannot do. And the same also for for my business partners.
Mm-hmm.
What they can do, I can't do, and also vice versa. So it's all about surrounding yourself with the right team, with the right people who have heart, show heart, and work really hard to work towards the mutual end goal, and that is building something unbelievable, amazing, and in this case called Centralex.
Yeah, fascinating. So if you have the lack of the education, you have to find the environment, the proper environment that can help you with something that you haven't really yet. And the team is kind of treatment for every entrepreneur, because your team
Correct.
is the most powerful stuff that you have to invest in. And yeah,
I give you another example. It's actually a really good example. I spoke recently with some of our advisors, and we spoke about education. So for myself, I'm quite street smart. I have really good people knowledge, mainly because I already entered the market very early, on an early stage. I was 16 years old, straight after high school, went straight into the industry. So for me, it's a little bit different because I've seen so many things already. But for somebody who just finished their university degree at 24 or 25 years old, and some people stay a little bit longer, maybe until the 30th, they have no life experience, no work experience. And so what is more value in that case? Is it the paperwork, or is it street smart and having people knowledge? What is more value at that moment? So when it comes to underqualification or overqualification, I think that is a little bit like not from this time anymore. It is really about who are you, right? So we at our organization, we will never ask none of our staff members for qualifications or education part. We are looking at the experience part. So, for example, Vlad, you want to work for Centralex, but you're claiming that you're a really good front-end developer. We will put you under a live coding test. It's the same for the backend. It's the same for DevOps. It's the same for business development. It's the same for project management. We will put you under a live stress test to see how you're able to cope with the situation, with the current situation, and move on from that point.
Yeah, such a clever, and I totally agree with you about that. If we're talking about the creating valuable Web3 projects as well, the interesting thing is about how much it costs to collect the team and create valuable MVP. We are talking just about minimal valuable project, or you can call it minimal desirable product or something like that, but just for the beginning, for the stage number 0, how much money do you need to make that happen?
Oof, that's a really tough question. It really depends on the situation. So there are projects, friends and colleagues from previous companies, they having a fantastic idea. They come up with a solution for Web3 or blockchain, and they say, you know what, I keep working part-time for my current boss, or I still have some freelance work to do, and then and in my free spare time, I'll be working for the project. Then you can say, hey, so we don't have to put in any collateral. That is an option. That's option number one. You have also another option is like you build a website, you make your white papers, you can start doing a fundraising as a ILO or an ICO. However, ICOs right now in the current states are being illegal in most jurisdictions.
Yeah.
So right now,
that's quite interesting topic. I mean.
Yeah, so we moved over from an ICO to an ILO, so initial launch offering. That means you already had an MVP style product. This could be done as a fork of a decentralized product. Just go to GitHub, you fork a product. You have a few developers, maybe 2 or 3 developers being on board for a bare minimum cost of, let's say, part-time work. It really also varies by which jurisdiction you're finding your developers from, or are they really close friends and you guys want to do something together? I think minimum capital required in that point, because you do need to have a marketing strategy behind it. You need to have your financials sorted out, company registration, bank accounts, etc. I think between 25 5 and 50,000 US to have a fourth project to make it work. But in the scope what we have done, we are looking at a humongous capital because we have investing a lot in our tech, a lot in our licensing as well. So as an example, already for our Hong Kong license was already $1 million US capital required, which we put in already out of our own pocket. So we are until now 100% self-funded. But for building the tech on itself without any licenses, you can easily, or you can do it for free as a fork. And if you build your really unique product, it can go up from 50,000 US dollar upwards. Yeah.
But it really depends on the case you're working on.
Yeah. As an example, one of my friends, they built a social media influence platform. It's called Chirply. Super nice people, fantastic idea, fantastic product. They have been building it with a very small team of 3 people.
That's
so you had
cool.
3 people, that's it. And that platform is live right now. It's a very cool system. What I've been building is really great for Web3 products, such as Centralex. You know, you can have micro influencers. You pay as you go. So, for example, as an influencer, you did a very good job, then you get paid for your service, right? It's working. They are listed on multiple exchanges. With only 3 people on board, that's how they. With only 3 people on their team, that's how they started. And right now they're doing fantastic. Recently they've done a launch of their own token, and they're already having millions of dollars of trading volume on a centralized exchange. And I'm really applauding them for what they have accomplished so far.
I mean, amazing case. And you've touched the topic about the regulation and jurisdiction. And I think in the nearest future, my forecast is about the big part of this game will be absolutely burned from the market because don't follow in the jurisdiction, the rule models, condition term, or something about that. Do you have the same feeling?
Yeah, so after what happened this year with Luna and different other projects who collapsed, regulations are inevitable. I do believe that 2023 is going to be the year of regulations, and it's something we already encountered during the development of our CDFI
and it's
protocol.
quite good for a crypto world, I think. The regulation,
for sure,
talk about that.
Yeah, it's gonna mature the whole market. So during our development of our CDFI product, we saw news popping up where the European regulation, European Union, they wanted to regulate self-hosted wallets. I still don't know exactly how they're going to do this because it's going to be an impossible task. Are you going to regulate MetaMask? Are you going to regulate Ledger and Trezor, Wallet Connect, Trust Wallet? Or are you going to regulate straight to the protocol, right? So this is a very big question. It's still a little bit of an unknown. However, we are looking also in MiCAR regulations in the European Union. So we are also registered a company in the Netherlands, also registered at the bank here as a trading platform. Those things are crucial. I still don't know how all the other companies are going to resolve their issue. We are already a few steps ahead with our platform, with Centralex and Centralex Custodial DeFi or CDFI, to comply with regulations. Regulations are mandatory, in my point of view, purely to mature the market and to offer end consumer protection.
Yeah, and that's a huge step. So we have touched the topic about the crypto market in general, and I have the question: what do you think, Tristan, about the nearest future for the crypto in general, and specifically for the DeFi? And especially, I'm so interested about your thoughts and how long will the bearish market will take place?
Oh, so many questions in one sentence. Good. The DeFi industry will keep evolving, and it will only get better and better and better. And I believe in DeFi, and I see it again as a evolution of currency. Right?
So it's still the open window for every cryptopreneurs that come in and creating the topic. I mean, in creating the space, the DeFi projects and DeFi product with the team. Yeah.
100%. As an entrepreneur, you can still do your own thing. You can still build fantastic products and protocols, new chains, whatever you feel, whatever you think is needed in the industry. But also for those entrepreneurs, look around what's there, right? And then based on what's around, you can build your own unique selling point, your USPs. Build your own products. Don't be afraid to fail, right? So we all fail one time. I also had a few companies before, and I also fell on my face. I stood up and I did it again, but better. I enhanced myself. It's the same for Centralex. We are a new company. We also had our difficulties. I think for a lot of blockchain companies right now in the current industry, they're facing these difficulties. But don't give up, right? Believe in yourself, believe in your team. Keep working very hard, because I think that, and also talking to many people in the industry, that we do feel that in Q1 next year, that we can expect another bull run, or at least that the market is going to be going up a little bit. I cannot give you an exact date.
Secret.
inside information. No, but
perfect.
No, we do feel and we do believe that the market is going to be much better already starting from next year, Q1, somewhere in Q1. If I had a magic crystal ball, I could tell you the exact date, which unfortunately I don't have. So it's just keep working hard, people. Keep evolving. Keep building fantastic protocols and platforms.
Yeah, fascinating. Right now, it's absolutely hard to raise money for the Web3 companies, and because of the bearish, first number one, because of the bearish, and many scams around this space, hyped projects without real value and etc. And the thing is that actually touch a lot of entrepreneurs that came to the Web3 world, how to raise money and what projects will do without small level of struggles. I mean, what should you do to raise the first money, especially from the stage number 0, to make the MVP and launching the game and open the gates to go in the market?
Sure. So for fundraising, it is indeed unbelievable difficult. If you would ask me the same question 9 months ago, I would say, hey, you can go to any type of firm, VC firm, you make a very nice product and you can raise funds, can go from $1 million plus. It shouldn't be difficult to do.
Yeah.
But now in the bear market, trust has been broken, institutional, but also retail-wise. It is difficult to regain that trust. Even though you've got a fantastic product, what I think is most important, be honest. Don't oversell your product. Don't give false hope to the community, but also for founders, keep working hard, keep pushing, do as much as you can. Even if you have to go butt naked, then if that's what you have to do during this bear market, then that's what you have to do. The future looks bright. This is the way how I see it, right? So we already have an MVP already online. We are still working on multiple integrations. Right now, we have 1inch done. We have Uniswap done. OpenSea is working as an integration. Right now, we are going to work on Aave. And with our backend team, we are working on cross-chain exchanges as well. So it's a very interesting topic, right?
So to summarize your speech, are you talking about the over-delivering to do more and speak less? And I mean, you have to understand how can you make your audience expect less than you deliver in general, in the reality, with the projects for them, for this audience, for your community.
Correct. It is the same for all VCs. They're asking for, what is your revenue model? Can you show me your roadmap? Can you show me this? Can you show me your expenses? So what is your burn rate? Be honest with this, right? And we can understand that during a bear market that the revenue model is shrinking a lot, right? So for example, OpenSea, their volume dropped 90% in the last few months, since May, as I remember. It's huge, 90% drop in volume. It is, wow.
It's almost everything.
Yeah, but that's with the whole Web3 industry right now, because we're really going through a recession and we're also going through a huge bear market. It is interesting. So you have to lower your revenue model as well. And then you have to try to explain to your VCs or investors, potential investors, how your revenue model is based and based on what. So you need to have a very clear and detailed picture on how do you make your money? How are you spending your every single dollar? How are you going to target your marketing? Marketing is also crucial for every type of blockchain project. We encountering the same at this moment, that marketing is our biggest trouble. My apologies. That marketing is the biggest trouble. Try to talk with KOLs, try to talk with influencers. They are going to ask you a retainer fee. It's ridiculous, looking at 20, 30, 40,000 US dollar per month only on a retainer for promoting your product, which is a lot. And especially during a bear market. Yeah, especially during, you know, what's going on in the world. So for that part, you really need to sit down and create something unique. We've done something very unique. I won't disclose, because in a lot of other Web3 projects, they will steal our concept. No, but just be unique, but at the same time, be yourself.
Absolutely fascinating, and totally agree with you. And let's be intelligently honest. Right now, you cannot just keep in trying copy another projects in the space and put your in second place or in the first place for the VCs firms or retail or angel investors, and continue talking like, oh, we have this pretty good decision, we have a pretty good product or something like that. You absolutely bullshit, because you have fully copied your project and your NFT collection. Another 1 million NFT collection is not really interesting.
Absolutely true. And forking projects, that was early 2022. And yeah, it was great. You know, we all made our profits when a new project came up with an idea or an ILO, where you invested 10,000-15,000 US dollar and your returns were like 10x, 20x, 30x, and it was great. We made quite some money out of it as well as a company investment. For me, I don't do any personal investments. So when I invest something, it is going to be in behalf of the company. So then our company and our investors are benefiting from this. For me personally, it doesn't matter. For me, I'm only thinking about my partners and my investors and my VCs being on board.
Perfect strategy. Okay, back to the question of regulation and the coming of the huge institutionalists. I mean, the BlackRock or some guy of that copy. Is it a plus or minus for the market? I mean, the market become less volatile, but it will also be conducted more naturally and according to the rules. What do you think about this question in general?
Oh, BlackRock, sensitive subject, very sensitive topic. Let me rephrase that part. Institutional investors. Let me put it that way. So institutional investors, that's where the big money comes into blockchain, right? And we need to have that big money coming into Web3. So in institutional investors, they are very important for stabilizing and maturing the market as well. However, we do need to be a little bit cautious, because they are also controlling the market at this moment. Therefore, regulations need to get in place as well, where investment firms are being more controlled by governments or regulators, where they are unable to manipulate the market. So market manipulation is still very strong in Web3. And that part needs to slow down a little bit. And once it slows down a little bit, the market will stabilize a little bit more, and will also mature much better than it is right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And the question for our listeners, especially, when we will see the Bitcoin for $100K bucks. What is your forecast about that? Because we have heard your forecast about the bull run games in the coin #1 in the next year.
Well, let me get my crystal ball. Crystal ball, where are you? Oh, I found it.
Pocket.
So let me give me a little rub.
I will highlight that moment.
There's a moment between me and my crystal ball. So 2023, we will definitely not see the 100K barrier. I think this will go very slowly. I think we will go through a very nice bull run first, where we're going to hit 50, 60, 70K this year. Sorry, 2023.
This year or next year, even?
2023, yeah.
Okay.
So this year is going to be full bear market. Then we will see in end of next year during the same period. So right now we're seeing in around October, November, December. We will see a sell off again. I think it will dip again down back to between 35 and 40K. Next year, 2024, we will hit the 100K. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a perfect end of our podcast with your crystal ball and the Tristan Roozendaal. Guys, thank you for watching this video up to the very end. Do not be sure to subscribe this channel, and probably you can leave your comments below. And all the respect for Tristan Roozendaal, because he is the guy. He is the true guy that we were working hard on the DeFi space. And I'm absolutely sure that with guys like Tristan, DeFi will be much better, like in the nearest future.
Thank you so much for your kind words, Vlad. And again, also thanks everyone for listening and watching. And like Vlad said, don't forget to subscribe.
Okay, shake your hands digitally. Bye-bye, and have a good day. Bye-bye.